Hey, I want to book a health checkup appointment for 10 a.m. tomorrow.
Let me check if 10 a.m. on Thursday, February 12th is available for your health checkup. That
Okay.
time is available. Would you like me to book your health checkup?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Your appointment is booked and you are all set. Have a great one.
And as you guys can see, the appointment shows up on my Google Calendar. In this video, we're going to be learning how to build this exact system in which we're going to learn how to book, cancel, and reschedule appointments using a voice AI agent. It's going to be a super simple build. So if you're excited, let's jump in and get started. All right, guys, so we are inside of Retell AI, and this is what we're going to be using to build the voice agent. And we're going to be adding three main functions that our agent can perform. You can see them right there. So obviously check availability, and then book appointment, and then reschedule meeting. Now, the first two ones, checking availability and booking appointment, are going to be pretty straightforward. We're going to be using cal.com, which is a free tool. And with that, we're going to be booking appointments in our Google Calendar. The third one, however, is going to be a little more involved, but still won't be that difficult. We're going to have to set up a Zapier automation, which is going to basically do it for us, but it's still going to be pretty straightforward. I'm going to be guiding you through the whole process. So let's first get started with going over the agent in Retell. I'm going to show you guys the prompt, and I'll show you guys, how we added all these tools, and then we're going to move on to first cal.com and then Retell. So let's go ahead and get started with the prompt. Now, this prompt was actually generated by ChatGPT. I definitely recommend you guys to generate your prompts with ChatGPT always, because oftentimes when you write your prompt yourself, you're going to miss a lot of things, which ChatGPT, on the other hand, is not going to miss. So what I did was I just went to ChatGPT. I said, write me a Retell AI prompt for a healthcare voice agent that books appointments on call and adds them to my Google Calendar using cal.com. And it gave me a basic starting point. Obviously, I had to, make my own changes and customize my prompt. I'm going to be leaving this whole prompt in the description below, so you guys can just copy it if you don't want to, rewrite this yourself. But yeah, again, you can also generate this using ChatGPT. This part I added myself. Once I added the tools, I had to give it, the names of the tools. I'm going to be going over how you can add your own tool inside of Retell in just a bit. But apart from that, tool usage rules, you must always check if, time is available before booking. These are just some basic sanity checks that, ChatGPT added, and I didn't do this myself. But yeah, so tone, again, it needs to be calm, professional, friendly, and clear. After that, we have our date clarification rule. For example, if the caller uses relative dates like tomorrow, day after tomorrow, etc., it should obviously, make sure that, it understands the date correctly, and it must restate the exact date and ask for confirmation before checking availability, because we don't want Retell to be passing, let's say, tomorrow as the date value, when we're giving it to cal.com. We want there to be an actual date in the correct format. So we just want to make sure that we have the correct date. After that, we have our booking flow. So for example, if you're booking a new appointment, we're going to start off with a greeting, and then we're going to collect all these details one at a time. So their full name, preferred date, preferred time, and the caller's email. And then the agent will confirm the date, check availability, and if that time is available, it's going to ask if you would like me to book it. If not, we're going to offer up to 3 alternatives and repeat availability checks as needed. So this is basically just, telling the agent a general flow of how the conversation should go. And obviously it's AI, so it's really smart. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to give it super rigid instructions. It will, adapt and change it as needed. And then it should finally confirm if I should book this appointment. And after a clear yes, call book appointment cal, which is this function, which is going to book the appointment. And then I should just give a confirmation, and that should be it. And after that, we have our rescheduling flow, in which we're first going to ask what day and time was your current appointment. And then we're going to ask what day and time would you like to move it to. And then we're going to check if that requested time is available. If it's not, we're going to ask for another time and repeat. And if it is, we're just going to ask for a confirmation, and then we're going to call reschedule meeting. And then lastly, we have some error handling. So if the information is unclear, ask follow-up questions. And then lastly, some final rules. I'm not going to go over all of this, but you can just pause the video and read them if you would like. So that's pretty much all there is to our prompt. Now let's go ahead and go to our functions and add. I'll show you guys how you can add your functions and how you can basically actually carry out the tasks that you wanted to. So the reason why we're using cal.com in Retell is pretty straightforward, because if I click add, you can see that there's an integration of cal.com in Retell, which makes it super easy. So our first tool is going to be check calendar availability. If I click that, you can just name it whatever you want. Now for this, you're going to need your API key for cal.com. And in order to get that, you're going to have to go to the internet and just go to cal.com and then just create an account. It's completely free for personal use, by the way. So once you're inside your account, what you can do is you can go to settings and then API keys down here in developer. And then you can just click add, and then you can just set an expiration date, or you can just check never expires, save that, and then it should give you your API key. Now you can just copy this and paste it inside of Retell. Now after that, it's going to ask for your event type ID. This is also pretty simple to get. All you need to do is go back to cal.com and then go back to your event types. So this page right here, and then just select whichever event you want to, use for this automation. You can also create a new meeting, and you can just do that. And once you're on here, you're going to first have to add your availability. So you can just click this and, just add your working hours. It's going to be pretty straightforward. And then make sure that your time zone here is set to your actual time zone. Once this is done, what you can do is basically you can just go up here to your URL, and then you can see this number right here after the slash and before the question mark. So this number right here is your event ID. So you're just going to copy this, go back to Retell, and just paste your event ID right here. And then again, your time zone, this is important. You're going to have to make sure that you set this to the correct time zone. So mine is New York. So I'm just going to copy this and paste it right there. And then again, your API key goes here. Once all this is done, just click save and your tool should be added. And then once you save it, you're just going to have to make sure to add it in the prompt somewhere. So you can see I've added this right here, just so your Retell agent knows which function to use for checking the availability. And after that, the book appointment function is going to be exactly the same. So you just go to add once again, and then book on the calendar, click this, and then description and name can be the default. API key, once again, you can just add your API key, and event ID will also be the exact same thing. So this number right here. And again, add your name of your function into your prompt so that Retell knows which tool to use. And at this point, if you've done everything correctly, you should be able to book your appointment using Cal. So I'm just going to go to test chat. You can also obviously do test audio because that's the whole point. You're making a voice agent. But just for the sake of this video, I'm going to be using test chat. I'm going to click new and then manual chat. And I'm just going to say, hey, my name is Nafe. I want to book a health checkup appointment for tomorrow, for 4 p.m. tomorrow. And let's see, once I send that, it's just going to confirm that, when you say tomorrow, you mean Tuesday, February 10th. That is correct. And then it's asking me to provide my email address. So I'm just going to do that. It should check if, it's available. And then it is, would you like me to book this appointment for you? Yes, please. And then once we say that, it should just say that the appointment is booked. Let's see. All right, perfect. So it says that you're all set for Tuesday, February 10th. Now, if I go to my calendar, you can see that it's also added an event for 4 p.m. tomorrow. Time zone is correct and everything seems to be good. Now let's go ahead and move on to the next part, which is going to be rescheduling meetings. All right, so when it comes to rescheduling the meeting, what Retell does is pretty straightforward. It just calls this reschedule meeting tool. This is a tool that we've created ourselves, by the way. So the way you do this is by going to add, and then we're going to say custom function. Once you do this, you're just going to have to add, some information here. It's not going to be a lot. The name of the function, it can just be reschedule underscore meeting. Okay. And then description can be just, use this tool or use this function to reschedule, and that should be good. And then we're going to need an API endpoint, and this is where Zapier comes in. So Zapier is basically an automation platform which we can use to pretty much automate our entire process of rescheduling, because you need to do a couple of steps to reschedule, but Zapier is going to do all of them automatically. So you guys can just go to the link in the description and make a Zapier account. And then once you're on there, what you can do is you can basically create a new Zap. So let me just show you guys how to do that. If you're on the home page, you can just click Zap right here. And once you click this, you're going to have to add a trigger. Now this trigger is going to be a webhook. So just click that and then select webhook right here. And this webhook is going to basically, if you just select catch hook, it should, if I just press continue and continue once again, it should give you a webhook URL. Now you're going to copy this URL, go back to Retell, and paste your URL right here. So that's where you get the API endpoint. After that, we're going to have to pass in some parameters. So I'm just going to switch to form in this because that's just easier. And we're going to need two parameters mainly. Our first parameter is going to be email. This will be to identify the user that is, trying to reschedule the meeting. So we just need to pass this on. And the description can also be email of the caller. Okay, that should be enough. And another one is going to be your requested underscore time slot. Now this is the time slot that the person is actually requesting to be in. So again, the description is also going to be, this is the time slot that the user or the caller wants to move their appointment to. Okay, so that's just going to be the time that the user wants their appointment to be. However, there's going to be one thing that we're going to have to add to this. So just add parentheses, and we're going to say make sure that the date is in ISO 8601 format. So this is the format that cal.com is expecting the date to be in. I'll go over this in just a bit. If you don't understand what this part means, that's totally fine. But for now, just enter this and press save. So once you add this tool, and obviously in the prompt, tell Retell to, call this tool when the user wants to reschedule. If you go ahead and test your agent and ask it to reschedule, it will call the tool, right? However, you have the data inside of Zapier now, but it doesn't really do anything because you don't have all these other nodes, right? So what exactly are these other nodes? What are we doing with the data and how does it work? We're going to go over that right now. So the first thing that we do is actually we use another webhook, and this will just be a regular API call. And our URL for that is going to be api.cal.com v2/bookings. So this basically gives you all the upcoming meetings that you have because the status in this is upcoming. Again, if you want to know how to use the Cal API properly, I'm going to be leaving a link to the documentation of this API. It is pretty straightforward, but you know, you can just refer to this if you're stuck anywhere. But back in Zapier, you can see that we are passing in our authorization, obviously our API key as the header, and also the Cal API version. The API also requires this to be there. Then what we're going to do is that we're going to pass that over to AI, and we're going to say, return the booking ID and the start time associated with the email address that matches the argument that was passed by Retell. So basically what this does is that, you know, when you call the reschedule meeting tool, you're sending the email of the user, right? So that email, we're checking against all the upcoming bookings that we have. If it matches an upcoming meeting, then we're going to return the booking ID and the start time of that meeting. So in super simple words, what we're doing is that if a person asks us to reschedule, we're taking their email and we're checking if we have an upcoming meeting associated with that email. So once that is done, our output fields are UID and start. If there is no email, both of them are going to just be NA. So that's fine. Then we continue. And then once that is done, we're basically splitting into two paths. The first path is going to be if it's NA. So for example, if the meeting does not exist, then we're not really going to do anything. However, if those values are something other than NA, then we're going to call this other API that is inside of Cal. It's going to be this reschedule a booking API. So you can see that we're passing in the UID of the meeting in the URL, and inside of data, we're passing in the new start time. So the start time that, you know, the user wants to reschedule the meeting to. And now this is important. The format that you send your time in, that needs to be in the ISO 8601 format. This is the reason why we inside of Retell, when we were sending our requested time slot, we said that it must be in ISO 8601. The reason for that is because the API, Cal API, expects it to be in that format. And then we just need to add these two headers as well. You can either copy this or you can just go to the documentation. It's going to explain all that. And so that is pretty much all we need to do inside of Zapier. We can just go ahead and test this now. Obviously, you need to make sure to publish your Zap first. Once you do that, you can just go to Retell, and this is how a sample rescheduling flow should go like. You know, if a person says I want to reschedule, the agent should ask, you know, what time your current appointment is. So we're going to say today 4 p.m. for example, and then just confirm the date. It's going to confirm. And then once that is done, we're going to ask what day and time would you like to move your appointment to? And then we're going to say 2 p.m. today, for example. It's going to check if that is available, confirm if you want to reschedule, and also give your email. Once that is done, it should basically just move the appointment. You can see that it's moved to 2 p.m. instead of 4 p.m. So that is how it works. One thing that I added to the prompt later on, you can see that it doesn't confirm that it's rescheduled the appointment. It doesn't say anything after calling the tool. So I added this line. I said confirmation, send this as soon as you call reschedule meeting. Don't wait for any confirmation from, you know, the API. So, you know, it's just going to say all set. Your appointment has been moved to new date and time, and then see you then. So that should be pretty much it. You can just go ahead and test audio, or you can even publish your agent and, you know, attach a number to this. I do have a detailed video on this, by the way, on how to add a phone number to Retell and how you can sort of make and deploy a proper agent, right? So you can go check that out. Link is going to be in the description. But for this one, I think this should be pretty much it. I really hope you guys learned something new, and I really hope you guys enjoyed as well. I will see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.